I have not made an episode in a couple of weeks. I've been so busy in the business. We've just been experiencing even more record growth. I feel like I say that every couple of months, but that is just the reality of my world at the moment. Every few months we're adding record numbers to the business. It's out of control. It's crazy, but it's a very welcome problem that I'm having. I'm very grateful to be experiencing this sort of growth, and with that, it requires a lot of responsibility. It requires a lot of time and energy from me, and so I just haven't really been thinking about this podcast too much. But we are back now, and in this episode, I'm going to be talking about how to become the attractive character in your business, to close more deals, to win more clients, and build a brand that people love and just cannot ignore. And so we're going to get into that in this episode. And if you're wondering what do I mean by attractive character, it's not about looks, it's about your energy and presence. And it's something that I learned from Russell Brunson. I think he was the guy that coined the term of the attractive character. And it was in his book, Expert Secrets, which if you haven't read, it's a fantastic book and you should read it. It's all about how to become an authority in your marketplace or in your business or niche. And it talks about building a brand and how to get customers and really influence people and attract them to you and your business. And it really ties the person to the brand, which I'm a big believer in the notion that every business, I think going into 2026 and beyond, I think that the world is really shifting in a way where people like to buy from people. We know that. But furthermore, I think big businesses and big brands are going to struggle more against the smaller ones, because I think people are gravitating towards businesses that have more of a heart, that have more of a person attached to it and a persona and a personality attached to it. So now it's even more important to be sharing your story and attaching yourself to your business more than ever before. So that's a big part of that, and we're going to get into that. So yeah, it's got nothing to do with looks. It's about how you magnetize people to you, how you attract people, literally attract people to your business. It's not about looks, it's about your energy and your presence and how you show up online, in meetings, in quotes, and on videos. Because like we know, people buy from people and humans that they feel connected to. And so sharing your values and having some vulnerability in when you talk to people, and just connecting your personality with the person in front of you, or even through a video so that you're resonating with your audience. And all of these little things that you show, all of these little intrinsic qualities and characteristics and values about yourself that you show and that you tell people, that brings your ideal client one step closer to you versus a different business. It's the reason why small mom and pop shops, can survive even though they have practically no marketing ability, whether it be, cafes and restaurants or dry cleaners or all these other little businesses. The only reason they really survive is because they have this little crowd or this little herd that is attracted to them because they feel connected to them in a way. It's why you look at any industry, there's rarely ever one or a handful of big corporations that swallow up all the business, right? It's why we have so much segmentation and dilution in different industries. And even more so in cleaning. Like, cleaning is a very personal relationship between the business and the customer. And it's why we see so many smaller, like sole operators and solo cleaners that, everyone has their little slice of the pie, their little tiny slice of the pie. Because as I've talked about before, when people are like, do you think the industry is too saturated? I think no, it's very, very, very fragmented. There's probably no other single more fragmented industry on the planet, if you think about it, because there's so many cleaners. There's thousands of cleaners in this country. They've all got, 5 to 30 clients each. There isn't just one big company that takes up 50% of the market share. And I think that is a big reason why. It's a very personal relationship between a cleaning business and its customer. And so all of these principles are even more important. And I think it's just going to get easier. I think it's going to be more and more prevalent, and it's going to be more likely for people to just build a massive business simply by having an Instagram page or a TikTok page where they're connecting with an audience and attracting people to them. It's less about, branding, marketing. It's more about building a personal brand and letting that be your marketing source for your business and attracting your ideal customers to you. I'll give you some examples of this. So Stacey, who's my manager in Bunbury, she runs my Bunbury cleaning business location, which is my main location. She routinely wins clients over, like big clients, big commercial cleaning contracts, for the simple fact that the people like her. We just won another contract where the facility manager was someone that she went to primary school with. And they like bonded over that. And she told me about how they had a good laugh and a really good chat. They barely even talked about the contract. That's the funny thing. They barely talked about the cleaning or the contract. Yes, they did the walkthrough, but then for the other like half hour, they just, were just talking about life. And then we won that contract. It was nothing to do with price. It was nothing to do with service. Even though we do provide a good service, there was really no discussion of that. We simply won that contract because that person liked Stacey. And that has happened so many times. It's happened when I used to run Bunbury. I won my biggest contract, the hospital contract, just by being me, just by humanizing myself and connecting with the guy that was the hotel services manager at the time, which actually, come to think of it, is a weird title. I don't know why he has that title in a hospital. It's not, I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, I've won so many contracts. Stacey's won so many contracts and so many residential cleaning clients just because they liked her or they liked me. It had nothing to do with the business. It was everything to do with our values, how we present ourselves, and how we connect with the individual. And this is good news because I know a lot of people stress about the fact that there's a lot of these, subcontracted cleaners that come into the market and undervalue everything and underquote and push out a lot of people like us who charge, compared to them, very high rates because we're paying the correct entitlements to our staff, and we actually take into account our operating expenses, whereas people think, oh, if I'm charging $30 an hour, I'm making $30 an hour. Not if I'm charging $30 an hour, I'm actually making $12 an hour profit after all my expenses. So people worry about that, and they're like, how can I build a business when all of this stuff is happening and I'm losing business to other cleaning companies like that? This is how you do it. It's by being an attractive character, and it's by differentiating yourself from other cleaners on a personal level. Someone once told me, we're all commoditized businesses. Like cleaning businesses all do the same thing. We clean houses, we clean offices. The only thing separating each business is the business owner and how they conduct themselves, how they conduct the business, their personal values, what they believe in, and how they talk and how they show up. And so I was told by this person that was talking to me about it, I would consider them like a mentor. They were like, you need to share more of your personal life on your business account, on your business like TikTok and Instagram, which seemed like a really weird concept to me because I never wanted to get those two things intertwined. I never wanted to mix personal with business, but I started doing it and like very, very small. Like it was very, very subtle. This stuff I would just start to work in there. Like I go to church. I'm a Christian. I would just sometimes post that I'm at church, and suddenly I had some customers that would they would see me and they would ask me about church, and they'd ask me what church I go to, and then we'd have a discussion about church, and they'd tell me what church they grew up in and all this stuff. And it's like I'm beginning to connect with people that I've never connected with before, simply because I shared something personal about myself. Even just restaurants. I'll post that I'm at a restaurant, and then I'll have a customer a couple weeks later ask me about my experience there because they either went there before or they're thinking about going there, and then we connect on that. And those are just very, very basic, broad examples. Like you can get really specific and post about stuff that you're really passionate about, because if that resonates with someone in your target market, between you and any other cleaning business, they're going to gravitate towards you because they've now connected with you on a more personal level, because there is a connection between something that you're passionate about and something they're passionate about. And all of a sudden, price and everything else goes out the window because now they're attracted to the brand voice or the person behind the brand, which is you. And it can even be as simple as like if you go into quote an office building, let's just say you're up against me, and you go in there and you find out that the receptionist that's showing you around is from the same hometown as you. And then you connect over that and you have a good laugh about it, and you have a lengthy discussion about where you came from. And all of a sudden that person is much more connected to you and likes you way more because they're a lot more familiar to you based on that. And so you would have a much higher likelihood of winning that commercial contract simply because you grew up in the same place that the receptionist I grew up in as well. And sometimes that's all it can be. Like in Stacey's case, we won a contract because she went to school with the person that was showing her around. Sometimes that's how easy it is to win business. And sometimes that's all business is. When people say it's more about who you know and not what you know, that is a big component of that. It's not about like who you already have in your circle. It's about how you can connect with the people that you're going to inevitably meet on your business journey. And so what really makes an attractive character, and how can you start to kind of build a personal brand voice that you can tie to your business, and also just take away some principles and some habits and maybe some new traits and characteristics that you can, carry forward with you in quotes and meetings and just when you talk to people in general to build more of a connection and more rapport to win business. So there's 4 main components of an attractive character, 4 main elements of what makes one. Number 1 is authenticity. So, people can smell fakeness instantly. If you're trying to put on a facade or trying to fake it till you make it, most people these days catch on to that. And I don't know, in my experience at least, I like people that seem more human. I don't care for someone that seems perfect or someone that seems like they have the perfect business. I like vulnerability and transparency, like showing the journey and not just the highlight reel. In this podcast, I've talked about pitfalls I've had and bad experiences I've had. It's not all just the glory and the great stuff that's happened in my business. I share a lot of the bad stuff as well, because I understand that the vulnerability and the transparency is actually what really builds connection and actually what really builds trust with an audience, because people don't like the most polished, dressed up version of you. It's actually the complete opposite. Now, you don't want to make yourself seem like an absolute turd, but you want to work in some of that realness into your branding, into just your conversations with people. Don't try to fake it till you make it and put up a facade. It may work short term, but long term, I think it does more harm than good. And I started to really experience success in my business when I really adopted that mindset. And like my first big contract that I won, that I still have to this day, which is the hospital, that came from me just having a shift one day when I walked into that meeting and I was just real with the people there. I was like, look, I think I'm way out of my depth here, but I'm really hardworking. I'm really committed to this. I really want to help you guys out and make this work. And, I just let my guard down that day, and it benefited me massively. Like I could see it on the faces of the people I was speaking to in that room, that they were just really connected to me and they really liked my transparency and my honesty and my realness in that moment. So authenticity is a very big key component of what makes an attractive character, because vulnerability really builds trust, because perfection is unrelatable. People connect to the real you, not the filtered version. So remember that. The second key component of an attractive character is confidence, and not confidence as in arrogance, but just certainty in everything you're saying, because clients want to feel like you know what you're doing and that you've done this before. And, maybe even if you haven't, that you're confident that you can do it. And so working in that realness and that authenticity into that, in that example of me at the hospital, I was confident, but I was also authentic in my approach. So, you can practice your pitch before you go in and have a meeting or a walkthrough with someone, and just work it until your tone is calm and natural, but also confident. So a good tip for this is record yourself talking and then watch it back. And ask yourself, would I buy from myself? Because a lot of the time you'll think that you sound good, but then you listen to yourself back and you're like, oh my God, I sound like a nervous wreck. And that's how I feel when I listen to my first couple episodes of this podcast. I'm like, in the moment, I remember thinking that I sounded good and that I sounded like I knew what I was talking about and I was confident and I was well spoken. And I listen to it now and I'm like, wow, I just sound like a shell of myself. So that's number 2. And the third element, which runs very parallel with confidence, is charisma. So charisma is energy plus empathy. You got to smile more. You got to listen deeply. Match your client's tone. Look people in the eyes and nod your head and look happy when you talk to them. Use their name often. Leave them feeling understood. You don't need to be loud. I know I don't like to be like over the top loud and bubbly. You can be the quiet confidence, because that can be just as powerful. So authenticity, confidence, charisma, and the fourth element of an attractive character is storytelling. So every brand has a hero's journey. If you don't know much about the hero's journey, I'm pretty sure there's actually a whole book called The Hero's Journey. Basically, it's like this very, very detailed process of how someone goes from nothing to something. It's what Hollywood movies follow as a formula. It's like, Harry Potter is like a classic textbook example of the hero's journey. And it's like this 12 phase or 12 stage journey. And it's like number one is the ordinary world. Number two is the call to adventure. Then you've got refusal of the call. Then you've got meeting the mentor, crossing the threshold. Then you go into the second act, which is like the tests and creating friendships and allies and enemies. And then approach to the inmost cave. And then 8 is the ordeal. And then you've got the reward, and then you move into the final act, the third act. You've got the road back and the resurrection and the return with the prize or the elixir or whatever it is. Like Harry Potter is a good example of that, where you meet Harry Potter. He's living under the stairs at the Dursleys' house, unaware of his potential, and then he gets a call. He gets a call to the adventure, which is the letter to Hogwarts, and then he hesitates out of fear, or he doesn't believe he's a wizard, and he's been told all his life he's nothing special. Then he meets the mentor, which is Hagrid and Dumbledore and other people show him the world of magic and his potential. And then you go cross the threshold, and Harry, he finally boards the train to Hogwarts, and then you move into the second act, and he starts building relationships, and there's the tests, the initial tests and trials of the journey, and he meets his allies, and he finds out who his enemies are. You see how this kind of progression goes, and you can tie that into literally any sort of movie that you've seen. It's like, I'm just kind of sidetracking here, but it's an interesting concept that once you realize it and once it clicks, you're like, oh my God, this is like kind of in everything. This is in like every movie ever kind of follows this formula. Like even the movie Up is, you would think like there's no way this follows that same formula as Harry Potter. It does. Like we've got the ordinary world where the old guy is living alone in his house and he's surrounded by memories of his late wife, and he's grumpy and he's like kind of stuck, but he's comfortable, but he's lonely. And then there's the call to adventure where the construction company, they want to buy the old guy's house, and then this young like Boy Scout comes to his door and rings his doorbell, and he refuses the call. He refuses to leave his home, and he continues to cling to the past. And then meeting the mentor, the old guy, his wife's memory, his late wife's memory, it comes to him and becomes his invisible mentor. Her adventure book reminds him what living actually means. And so the mentor doesn't have to be a person. It can just be a metaphor. It can be a thing like his late wife's memory or the book. And then there's crossing the threshold. He ties the balloons to his house and literally floats into adventure. And then there's the tests, there's the trials, there's the allies and the enemies. There's the dog, there's that weird bird, I think it's like an emu or something. You can see how this works in literally any sort of movie and any story you've ever read before. It's really interesting when you get deep into it. But anyway, your business is no different from that. You've got a hero's journey and you can share that. And it's great when you share it because people become so much more connected to you when you do it. You've got your ordinary world. Maybe you were working at Woolies and then you had a call to adventure but you refused it initially. Maybe it was a different business. Maybe it was this same business, but initially you just shied away from it, or you tried and gave up. And then maybe you met a mentor. Maybe it was someone online. Maybe, hopefully, it would be cool. Maybe it was me. Maybe you listened to some of my podcasts and you were like, I want to give this another go. And then you crossed the threshold and you actually started the business. And that's when you went into the tests and the allies and the enemies, and you started to build your journey. And then you made your approach, and then you had your ordeal, the biggest challenge where everything was on the line, and you overcame it. And then you got to the 9th step of the journey, which is the reward. And then it goes on. And I know I'm sounding like a complete friggin' nerd, but you can see how you can like craft your hero's journey, and you can break it down in a way where you can really get people to resonate with you and with your journey. And when you share that with people, it's such a powerful tool because it's what differentiates you between different people. And when you work all of your values and everything that makes you into your story, it's what will connect people that are like you and are going to like you because you're like them. It's what connects them more to your business and helps you win more sales. So, it's a very kind of like it's almost like a high level kind of thing. And it's like such a weird thing to talk about in the context of business and winning sales, but it really does work. It really does work just to humanize yourself and share your story with people, which is so, so important. You need to never get bored of sharing your story and never get tired of telling your story. Even if you told it thousands of times, the next person may not know it at all. They may have never heard it before. So I've told my story online like a few times now. I think I've told it in this podcast twice, one in much more detail. And so you never want to get tired of telling your story. I think it was Russell Brunson as well, actually, that said that. I remember him saying, you never want to get tired of telling your story, because I know his story inside out. He said, some people are going to hear it again and again, and you don't want to think that they're going to get tired of that and somehow not like you for telling your story more. They actually appreciate to be reminded of your story, because if they like you because of that, then they're not going to hate you for sharing your story again. And it's going to bring more people towards you, because there's going to be new people out there that haven't heard your story. So that's a really good thing just to follow with your like social media postings. There's a lot of people out there doing social media. If you just post cleaning videos and you never talk about anything to do with yourself in them, you're not really going to get anywhere with that. So work more of your personal stuff, more of what makes you into your videos on social media, and watch your numbers skyrocket. So anyway, that's one thing. You can obviously do this on a more personal level with clients and potential customers. You can just talk more about who you are with them and just have shared experience, like talk about shared experiences and shared values and shared passions, and build rapport with customers, because that's what's going to separate you from the next person, from the next business. Because remember, we're all a commodity, and the only differentiator is us as people behind the brands. So that's why I think this is going to become more and more important as we go on, as the years go by. I think more people are going to shy away from these big corporations that don't have much of a human element attached to it, and much smaller ones are going to start to emerge. It's happening a lot with the fitness industry, with like activewear and like supplement companies and all these types of things, because there's usually an attractive character or a person attached to it that the people really resonate with. And I've been witnessing that a lot. So like, yeah, very, very important. And yeah, those are the four main elements of what makes an attractive character. So you've got your authenticity, you've got confidence, you've got charisma, and you've got storytelling. You do those four things and you're going to attract more people and magnetize more people to you and your business. So now all that's left to do is become that. And remember that you're not just the cleaner, you're the face of your brand. And staff as well, if you have employees, they take cues from your energy, and clients will mirror your confidence in you and your ability to deliver what they're asking for or what they're buying from you. And the community that you build, it mirrors your consistency, the community you build around you and on social media and things like that. It's even more important with employees like Stacey. Me and Stacey have such a good working relationship, and some of my other staff members like Jessa and my VAs, we've got such a good working relationship because I have become an attractive character and an attractive leader to the people in my business. And I share a lot of who I am with the people around me who are close to me. It's not just about sharing that with strangers. It's even more important to share it with people who are in your inner circle. So just remember as well that people buy emotionally and then they justify logically. So what we talked about, most people have it back to front. They think customers, especially in residential sector and commercial sector, they think all they look at is price, and that's all that matters, and everything else is secondary. But it's the complete opposite. They buy emotionally and then they justify logically. So someone's going to buy from you because of an emotional investment, because you won them over emotionally somehow. And then they justify it with like logic and reasoning. They're like, okay, the price is fair, the service inclusions match up, they've got good reviews, they seem like a good reputable business. That is my logical justification for this emotional decision. Like buying a car, that is a very emotional decision for most people, and then they try to justify it with whatever mental gymnastics they can. Oh yeah, this $120,000 Mercedes is it's got one of the best ANCAP safety ratings in the country. It's like one of the safest family cars. You can see it in this news article from 3 years back. That's why I'm buying it. It's not because I want a Mercedes and I love the interior and the seats are purple and they massage me. No, it's because this. So that's how people buy. And when you remember that, then you don't have to be worried about people price cutting you, because if you become an attractive character, if you magnetize people to you and to your business, then you will close deals regardless or void of whatever pricing or anything else there is. And it's also how you keep clients as well, because when people feel like they know you, they're going to stop shopping around and they're going to stick around as well. And you become the go-to name in your area, because even competitors will respect your brand, which is something that I've experienced as well. And, a real world example of this is like all the time I get people that contact me and they're like, I saw your TikTok, or my friend follows you. The sale is 80% done before the quote even starts, just because they've like seen me online and then they meet me and they speak to me. Like we underestimate how powerful that really is, how powerful that connection is before you even meet the person. And you let your personal brand or your business's brand and the brand voice do the selling for you, right? So now all you have to do is build that. So, choose a few key platforms, whether it be TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram. Share your opinions. Don't be afraid to polarize a little. That's how you stand out. It's how you win people and get them off the fence. Share what you love. Share your day-to-day. Share what you had for breakfast. Share that you took your dog for a walk. Share what breed your dog is, because then you're going to get people that are like, oh, she's got a long-haired dachshund. I also have a long-haired dachshund. I love them. And now I love her. And I want to have her as my cleaner, because the person that cleans you know what I mean? So just share everything about you that makes you you, and see how well that attracts people towards you. You'd be very, very surprised. Share everything you do. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's just sharing what you had for dinner that day, or what your travel plans are, or what TV show you're watching. All of these things, you may think it seems unprofessional, but it actually works wonders for your business, as I have experienced. It's kind of uncomfortable to kind of adopt this mindset and that mentality and do it, but once you do it, it changes everything. And always lead with value as well, especially when you're posting on social media. Education, entertainment, and emotion. Those are the 3 E's that you should focus on when you're making content. Don't just like make cleaning videos. Make cleaning videos that are educational. Show people how to take care of a common issue in households like mold or shower screens. Make it entertaining. You can make entertaining videos. You can make emotional videos. You can do like a free clean for someone, going through like cancer treatment, which is things that we've done before. And lastly, but not least, be consistent. Even one short form video a week adds up to over 50 touch points a year. So even if you just do it once a week, that will be better than if you do it once a month or never. So be consistent, keep showing up, and do as I say, not as I do, because I'm not consistent with this podcast as much as I'd like to be. I just, I get busy, but I have my list of priorities. My business always comes first, and yeah. But that's the episode for today. I hope you enjoyed that. It was one that it kind of came to me yesterday. It was just something I was thinking about, and I thought back to Expert Secrets, that book I've read, and I was like, it's a really good concept that I don't really see people talking about enough. And I think it's just going to become more and more important as this world continues to evolve and we develop as like a society, especially on social media and things, because people value connection. We're becoming so desensitized and so decentralized, and like, I think it's going to come full circle. And, all this stuff about VR and augmented reality and like AI, I feel like it's going to come full circle, and people are going to just want to go back to real human connection, because the world is just becoming devoid of that. All these robots and all this stuff, like, people just want to talk to people. So I reckon we're going to go back to that. That's my opinion. Whether I'm right or wrong, that's another story. But the reality is, all of these things that I talked about in this podcast episode, they are relevant today, and they're going to stay relevant. And in my opinion, they're just going to become more and more relevant and more important. So it's good to harness that. It's good to learn that. And it's good to put that into effect, because it will have very radical results in your business, as it has in mine. And on another note, keep sending in your applications to work with me one-on-one. I've gotten quite a few, so I'm working through those, and I've read most of them. I've gotten back to most people. There's a few that I haven't gotten back to. I've taken on one-on-one client, so I've got 2 more slots left. I'm on the fence about if I even want to do 3. I'm thinking I may even just do 2, so I may have 1 slot left. But it's going good. Just try not to overextend myself and devote too much time to this, so it doesn't take away from the main thing, which is my main business. And yeah, keep sending in the applications. I am very, very strict on my criteria about who I work with. So if we're not a good fit, I will kindly tell you that, because I don't want to work with someone who I don't think I can have really, really crazy results for, because that's going to feel just as good for me as it will for you, right? So that's it for today. I think in the next episode, I might talk about how to really build your social presence and your social brand so that you can get more brand deals and things like that. And, it doesn't just matter how many followers you have, or the likes and the clicks and the views you get. It's all about the quality of the work you put out. And again, more of this attractive character stuff. So I might do an episode about that, because I've really opened up that income stream for myself, and it's been great. It's really good income. It's really good fun, and it's a really good connection with brands and these different people. So that might be the next episode. I'm lining up a guest who I just need to get a proper studio, because they're in Perth, and I want to do like a proper sit down interview with them. So that'll be another cool episode. And so we'll get back on track, hopefully, and get these episodes pumping again. I had a little hiatus. I wasn't really enjoying the podcast as much as I used to, but I think it's mainly just because life was being life. It was being lifelike. It was getting busy and hectic, and these things kind of just fall to the wayside when that's going on. So, but we're chugging along nicely. Business is growing, but I'm just waiting for the next trial. I'm waiting for the next challenge, and bring it on. I do not shy away from falling over. I welcome that, because it's another sign of growth, and it's a prerequisite for success, which is what I always say. So with that being said, thanks for listening to another episode of Self-Made. I will see you again next time.